Now, if you've been wondering, like I have, how you can acquire properties for as little money down or to buy a real estate investment property with hard money loan and then refinance out, pull your cash, all of that crazy stuff that we hear all the time. I've actually got my hard money lender. He sent me a property. What happened was, he sent me a property, and what we're going to do, we're going to hop on a Zoom call, and he's going to break it down on exactly how much money out of pocket, how much money you could make, and then how to buy this long-term rental with hard money, and then refinance out of it with a DSCR loan. Sounds like complete foreign language to me, maybe to you as well, but I don't think you'll find an easier breakdown where we actually bring out the calculators, look at the property, and then at the end I'm going to decide whether I want to go in on this or not. So before we jump into that Zoom, this will be a good one to just track and follow. Again, it's broken down, and then me and actually bring my business partner on. We ask like very, very beginner questions. So it's going to help you if you're looking to get into a real estate investment for little to no money or not going out and getting a conventional loan. This is a way to do it. And then what you could do is start looking at properties out there and calculating them yourself to see what the cash flow is, how much money you can actually pull out once you refi. And the main reason this happened was I'm getting restless. I have this flip. You guys have been following me for a while now. If you haven't, go check out from episode 1. I am documenting my whole entire journey of building a real estate investment portfolio, and I know nothing about it, but I was tired of sitting back and doing jack shit. So I wanted to hold myself accountable with this YouTube channel, and that made me start kind of going frantic of like, look, I got this channel, I need daily videos, and I have this flip going, but like what happens when we sell this flip? Like I need more properties. And so every day all I'm doing is reaching out to people on Messenger about deals, getting onto a wholesaler's list, looking at properties. I don't really know how to comp them yet, other than Zillow. I'm learning that, but I was like, man, what if I just filter out the area that I want by the lowest priced properties out there? I know I've got good contractors, we can clean them up, but for rentals, and can I just do a DSCR loan right out of the gate? And so he hit me back up and was like, look, you don't want to do a DSCR loan. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. We're going to cover it in this Zoom. But basically, it's a debt service coverage ratio loan where you don't have to get traditional loans. And the one thing that I've learned is you can only hold, I think, 10 or 13 personal loan, like conventional loans in your name. And then you have to find other ways, seller financing or DSCR loans to get other properties. But this is a program to where you could leverage hard money lending to buy it. And then he said, let it soak for 60 to 90 days, then cash out refi. Again, don't worry if you're lost. I was too. I am too. And so we're going to listen to him break this whole entire thing down. But, I haven't mentioned, I'm 39, about, a couple months to go before I hit 40 here, about 6-7 months. So my mind just kind of went ape shit, half a year ago. I felt like I wasn't doing anything. And so that's what pushed me to get this real estate investing thing going. And from there, I don't know anything about it. And I've read all these podcasts and I've done it, but it's just until you get your feet wet, you have no idea what's really going to happen with these. So I started sending these properties to him and I'm like, what can I do? Like, do these cash flow? Are these good properties? And he said, these aren't, and you don't want to do DSCR loans. But he mentioned, hey, I've got this flip over in this other area. And I looked at him like, nah, it was too far away. And he goes, actually, it's not the best example. He goes, but I just got this one. He goes, this looks like a home run. You could, and this is how the whole thing came about. I've never heard of this. And so everything I'm explaining right now, I didn't know. Okay. He emailed me and goes, this is a property that I have from another investor friend who's looking to get out of it. You're going to hear why he's trying to get out of it, which may dictate whether I'm going to, take this or not. But it's a property that you can get very, very inexpensive. You can leverage hard money loan with very little money down. And then after 60 to 90 days, if done correctly, you can cash out refi, pull almost all of the money that you put down to get the property and back into your pocket, and then have now a long-term, 30-year mortgage on this that's cash flowing. So he's done a bunch of these before, and he's going to run through this example how to do it. So I'm just kind of getting to a point where I'm like, I need more properties. I want to keep going. I want to build this portfolio. I need more properties to show you guys. to start learning more lessons, not mistakes, but to document all this for you. So we'll jump over. We'll get on with Joe. You're gonna hear the audio kind of kick out for a little bit. He's very like muddled. I fix it. I'm like, hey, your audio, and then he changes it, and then it's all good from there. So if you hear it starting to muffle, don't worry, it's gonna get better. And then the other guy that hops on is my business partner, who I do real estate stuff with. He's learning too, so he asks some awesome questions as well. We break down monthly payments, taxes, just everything in this deal, and then we'll talk about whether I'm going to go through with this deal or not. So real estate investing from the ground up. If you haven't yet, man, I appreciate. I've gotten some subscribers from you guys. Really pumped. I am just being raw, honest, and building this thing from the ground up, making these mistakes, acting like an idiot. I don't know any of this stuff, but I am more pumped up now than I've ever been learning it. So, subscribe to this. Watch the daily vlogs and videos building this real estate portfolio. So let's jump over to that right now.
I think you're a pro by now. I don't know if you're a rookie anymore.
No, dude, I don't know shit. I'm still learning this flip that you found me. Things are going good with it, but my mindset the whole time has just been like I need to find more and find more and don't stop
Yeah.
prospecting and looking. And I think that's I don't want to get stuck in the mud, but problem two is like I don't have much funds and money right now, just to be transparent. I love it like backs against the wall and but I still don't want to stop. So
Yeah.
I can find some extra money, loan, and then get into these properties. And I know once the flip sells, there's some more cash and we keep doing more and more of these. But I got
That's
to a
the
red.
that's the life of a flipper, man.
Yeah, dude. But I don't want to like have to wait for that.
Yeah.
I might as well find some more deals and figure out ways to get money on those. And
Yeah.
so nerve
Yeah,
wracking, but
that's
at the
the
same
that's the
time,
biggest thing to crack, man, is just the lead flow of it.
yeah.
If you've got good deals, it makes your life a lot easier. Because what happens too is a lot of these guys when they're scaling, uh, they're so desperate for deals because they have to keep everything busy and they got to keep their crews going, so their crews don't go to another
Yeah.
job site that they
Yep.
end up buying a bad deal. That's generally how you buy a bad deal.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Because they're just so desperate to keep them going.
I'm gonna pull this yeah, and that's exactly what I'm looking at and obviously wanting to avoid some of that, but my big thing is like let's get going on this stuff and I got to a point of like, man, I'm just gonna reach back out to Joe and start sending some properties to like get a ball rolling of
Sure.
what does this process look like. So I'm gonna bring up what you just sent me and then we can go through it and explain it. And then maybe you could share your screen, go through like a calculator or something. But this is
Yeah,
what you
sure.
just emailed me. So you have a house that's at 142.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a hard money loan on it, but no rehab. So you would get 142. Is that negotiable too?
I think they're pretty set on 100.
Okay.
Well, I did try to get it down a little bit. It's from a realtor,
So
but
it's
the
just a
reason,
realtor friend of yours.
yeah, correct. So this investor, they got into it with a hard money loan. They did the rehab. It still needs a little bit of touch up, apparently. I think I sent you the photos on it, but it's pretty much completed. The problem they
Okay.
have is that their loan is maturing. I guess they went too far into it, so they just need to get out of it. But if you have a look, it's
Oh, okay. So this is it right here.
yeah, this is it. So it's not one that you're looking to flip. It's one that, which I, by the way, is
You
ones that
what?
you can get in for minimal work, as long as they did decent work, right? Especially on your majors, your plumbing, your electric. But if you can get into this house and buy it and then put a tenant in there to cover your monthly note, and then you're refinancing out of it, but you're getting the majority of your money back. Well, that's really the goal of the no money down, they say, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
never really no money down, but what happens is you recoup that money so that
Yep.
once you're on your note, your out of pocket is as close to zero as possible.
Yeah. My business partner is going to enter the room too. We can explain it to him. So why would this investor So they did a hard money loan. So they must have got this thing at like 70 grand or something then.
Yeah, correct.
And
About.
then he gets out of it at 142. Does he make some money, you think? Or is he
Probably
just
not. Yeah, they probably
so
lost.
so what does that tell you immediately that happened to this? Like for me personally, I've never been in this, but it throws up a red flag. Like, is there major issues to it, or did he just run out of time and money?
So 90% of the time when I see this happen, it's generally there's issues with the contractor. So if you look back at the tax roll and see when they bought it, most of these hard money loans, they're on a 12 like with the one that we did on Kingwood, that's a 12-month loan
Yeah.
with no balloon. So luckily a decent lender, what they're going to do is, let's say you had some issues with that loan when you get to 12 months, there's going to be a slight increase in interest rate, but there's no real desire to foreclose on you if you got to month 12, month 13, month 14.
Yeah, and this
On other deals, sometimes the lender is not as flexible as waiting, or maybe they'll give you a 6-month loan or a 12-month loan with a 6-month balloon, and then after that period happens, they're not so willing to keep extending the loan, so they'll
mhm.
give you a deadline to sell it by and to start foreclosure, even if you have the house on the market.
Okay.
Can you
They're
give me
going to
that
start
link?
looking at the process.
What, Jesse?
Can you share me that link?
Yes. I'll put it in the chat right now. You want this HAR link right here, Jesse?
It looks like he's only giving you 50% of the trim there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. I think you're gonna have to go in there and put a punch list on it and finish out the little items that weren't completed.
Okay. Let me send this to Jesse, and then maybe um do you mind, Joe, like sharing your screen and like your calculator and like what's going to be max out of pocket budget? Like, what does it all look like? And then explain to me that DSCR and you, why do you let it sit? I know, a million questions. Why do you let it sit 60 to 90 days?
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me get a calculator too. The reason it's sit is because the DSCR money is institutional money. So it's essentially it's Wall Street money. They have some weird requirement being that you can refinance it out quicker than the 90 days. But if you have ownership, and especially if you have tenancy within that 90 days, you're going to get a much better interest rate.
Okay.
So long term, it's definitely worth seasoning. If you're doing a standard rehab, most of the time you're always going to take 90 days before you get the process going.
Hmm.
But on these ones, it's a little bit trickier, right? Because you could get a tenant in there in a matter of. So really, when you're looking at the DSCR, you're capped by two things. You're still capped by the ARV. So what is this one? We have an appraisal of 196, right?
Yeah.
So if we're at 75%, we win 96. We're going to times this by 75. We can get maximum 147,000 here. And then let's just assume that it's going to cost us $8,000 for the refinance. That's new title policy, origination points, prorated taxes, anything that you have to pay, updating insurance, which you said costs $8,000, refi cost. And what was our payoff? 139,000. So when we use the hard money loan, buying it at 143, we had 90%. I actually think I have a term sheet. In a hard money loan here, you're going to have 90% of the purchase. You have 128,000.
Man, your audio is off a little bit, Joe. I don't know if it's super echoey, like background.
Is that any better?
Way better.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just changed microphones. So your hard money loan is 128,000 because you're doing 90% of this 143. Does that make sense?
So on this with hard money right out of the gate, you got to put 10% down on it.
Yeah, so you're 10%. So you're 10% down on that purchase price. If you're 143, 120.
So 14,000.
Yeah, so on the hard money, you're down 10%, right? Because you're not escrowing the rehab, but you're putting 10% down on that purchase price. So your total loan on that's around 128,000.
Okay, so it's going
Right.
to be how much, and then the closing cost would be, um,
Yeah, let's put up like $5,000 on closing cost, and then let's put the difference of the 143 to the 128. So 15. So you're probably out anywhere from like 14 to 17,000 at the closing. On this is on your hard money.
total. That's
Yeah.
closing costs and down payment.
Correct. So 17,000 cash to close. But then when you refinance the property, well, your underlying debt is only 128,000,
Yep.
right? Because that's the hard money loan. But if you see here at 196,000, that's what the appraisal's at. I'm getting 75%. So my new loan is 147,000. So let's take out our closing cost of say $8,000. It leaves us 139,000. Well, that 139,000 now has to pay off your underlying debt of 128,000. So I've got roughly like 11,000 back cash to close on the cash out refinance. Now that 11,000 there is just going to go towards, uh, essentially going towards that money that I put when I bought the house with the hard money loan.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get that as close to zero as possible. So
Okay.
Is your
when I refinance,
who does the cash out refi? Is that you also?
yeah, we do the refinance. It's called the DSCR, which is the debt service coverage ratio. So
And then
this
you
one,
have to have a tenant in place at that time.
yeah, you have to have a tenant in place. That's why I think the best thing to do is once you buy it, you go in there, you do your punch out, you make sure it's tenant worthy, and then you put a tenant in there, 1650, $1,700. And then after 90 days, then you start the process of the DSCR, and then that DSCR is going to pay back the hard money loan and then give you some cash back to contribute towards the cash out of pocket on the front end.
Okay. So easy turn. You're about 17,000 right now, cash out of pocket. In 90 days, let's say, you've got a renter in there, he's paying 1650, whatever it
Yep.
is. 90 days later, you're going to do this DSCR refinance. You're going to recoup about $11,000 that you can basically put back in your pocket. And now you've got a 30-year loan on this rental.
Exactly.
Now, what's up with like, and I know like traditional refis, you can pull some like more equity out of it. Like if it's worth 196,000 now,
$30,000 a month.
you can pull some like up some more of that equity. So could you actually with a DSCR loan pull more money out, like 20 grand or something?
It just depends on the loan to value, right? So I ran it at 75%. Well, now if we can bump that up to 80%, yes, you can pull out more, right? At 80%, if you look at that number,
Oh,
then you really are getting towards that zero mark.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the appraisal.
Yeah, we already have an appraisal on this one for the purchase,
Oh,
but
you can
on
use
the
the same appraisal for the DSCR loan as well.
no, unfortunately not, because it's the institutional money. They have to go through what they call an AMC, so they have to use an approved appraiser. But it does help to have the existing appraisal because we can always submit that to the appraiser, and appraisers can be lazy and they'll just use that to help.
yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And then the new refi, is there closing costs in that refi, and is that put into the loan?
Yeah, that'll just be wrapped into the loan.
Okay.
So refi, like the origination point and whatever cost you have with updating your insurance to put new lender name on there, maybe you have to expand the amount covered. That'll be wrapped into that new loan. This is where I factored in that $8,000 refi cost.
Yep.
What's the
Just to kind of give
mortgage
you
on the refi?
what's that?
What's the mortgage on the refi?
What's the mortgage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few variations for a DSCR. I mean, you can go to a straight 30-year AM, but there's also some options if you kind of want to increase the cash flow. You could do a 5-year or 10-year adjustable rate, or you could do a 5-year or 10-year interest only.
Mm-hmm.
The rate, there's a lot of levels. It's really hard to kind of quote a DSCR off the top of your head because it's not like hard money where we just say, hey, 12 and 2, X amount doc fee, because that's all private capital, right? We all share private capital and we make the decision whether to lend. But on the institutional funding, it all has to do with what the market is saying.
Well,
We're
if you were to do it today, what would it look like?
Very base typical rate, 30-year AM, decent credit, decent experience. The property falls within that DSCR ratio, then you're looking anywhere from 7.5 up to 8.5. And
Percent,
yeah, uh-huh. Yeah,
7.5
7.5.
to 8.5% interest.
Yeah,
And
correct.
then that's how much is, and then you're borrowing. I'm just trying to figure out what the worst case scenario is on the mortgage.
Do you mean the monthly
Yep.
Yeah,
payment?
exactly.
PITI.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can use I use this thing called Carl's mortgage calculator. I love it. It's the easiest one. And then I just play around with numbers on there because you also have other variables to the property, like is it in a flood zone? What's the taxes? You got those variables in there, which
Have
is
you
going to
looked into
change.
that for that area? And this is Angleton, you said?
This is Angleton, yeah, right down 288. Yeah, luckily it's not in a flood zone.
Yeah, and then it's just north of Lake Jack. What's going on in that area, Angleton?
What's
Lot,
going on?
I mean, in a sense of like, is there a lot of people looking to rent houses there? Is there a lot of work down there?
Yeah, it's a pretty decent market. Angleton, Clute, Lake Jackson. I have some rentals down there. I actually have some really good ones in Lake Jackson, which I like. Um, yeah, it's big enough. The population is big enough to not have serious concerns about vacancy.
And then, yeah, why don't you, can you pull up that calculator you're talking about and just like do a quick number on it?
For the
Well,
DSCR,
DSCR, but also that calculator you were just talking about to see what you think that monthly payment would be. And
sure.
Well, at
So
196, the 25% down, at 8% interest rate, 3% taxes, you're looking at about almost 1,600 a month.
okay,
we'll do it here. So you got the principal and interest. You're going to have your taxes, and we'll pull this up. I'll just show you how I would do it.
okay,
And you're going to have interest, right? Normally I use it on my phone, but I think you actually have a.
Jackson, you need to get him connected to Addy with the master spreadsheet.
dude.
We have this document that you can plug in one number and it'll spit out every single way of the loan could be broken down.
I do have some spreadsheets like that for flips and stuff, but I probably need to revise them. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it looks like on that house, it looks like a lot of the finished work, like I don't know, there's like a lot of finished work that needs to be completed. And it looks like you'll have to get in there and look at it, Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, part of me is like, yeah, I just want to jump on it and go but the other aspect of that is like, I got my contractors, they're amazing, but that is a haul, Are they going to want to go down that far?
Yeah, you might just have a handyman finish that out. Okay, I'm not familiar with this one.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can adjust.
Yeah, I haven't actually played with this one before. Let's have a look. 30 years. This one does look cool, but I'm not too familiar with it. I'm trying to find this Carl Morgan.
Hopefully rates get better too in the next couple of months.
Yeah, we saw them take a little bit of a dip recently.
I just went to 8 because I was like, that'd be like hopefully the worst case scenario for the situation.
Yeah.
What's the interest rate? Is it, or taxes, or property taxes like 3% down there?
Yeah, we'll take a look right here. I'm just gonna kind of spitball the insurance at around, $1,500 to $2,000 a year. What was our address again? Hurst.
The address?
609 Hurst
Yeah.
Street, Angleton.
609 Hurst. Okay.
HUR. Yep.
So we're at 2813 a year. Then I've got my insurance of around 2,000 a year.
That's about give or take $5,000 a year.
Yep.
Where's the number you're looking at?
Right there, 2023 tax year was 2813
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're right here.
for the year, and then 2,000 for insurance. So about $5,000 would be a rough round number.
About $401 a month. And if you have the app up that tells you what the principal and interest is at, your underlying balance on the refinance is going to be 147,000. So what is the principal and interest on a 30-year mortgage at 147,000? And then you can do it at whatever you want, 7.5 or 8%.
Yeah, it barely changes the monthly cost.
So what numbers did you get, Jesse, when you did 30-year mortgage and then added the
25% down, interest rate at 8, property taxes at 2813, homeowners insurance at 2,000 a year, no HOA dues, 1474 a month.
Is that PITI or is that just principal and interest?
That's taxes also.
Okay. And insurance?
Yeah, insurance is 167 a month, property taxes 234 a month. The price is 196, right?
Yep.
No,
that's
okay.
the
So
ARV.
yeah, that's the ARV. So you're actually 0% down, right, on the refi because you're cashing out, but your underlying principal balance is 147,000.
So that 30-year loan on 147, Jesse,
Yeah,
not 196.
I mean, it would balance out the same if you did 196,000
True.
and
25% down.
25% down.
I know the calculator doesn't, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's still going to be roughly 1,400 PITI.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it leaves you like 250 to $300 spread. But most importantly, if you're at 250, $300, right?
Yep.
But your cash left inside that deal is very minimal, well, then your return on investment is just infinite because you don't
What,
have any money yet.
Yep.
I don't know anything about the rental rules down there. Like, what does the owner pay for anything down there? Like, I know in some areas they make them pay for certain things,
You mean like utilities?
utilities, pest control.
No, no, I don't pay anything. I do some pest control down there, which is a good point. It's not required, but I'll go and do it right. I think it's every February or March. I'll do it just because coastal, you get termites.
Mhm.
So they'll pay their water bill, obviously their power, any internet, any of that stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
What sort of gap are you looking for? Because like obviously if the mortgage is say 1450 a month and you're charging 1650, that's a net profit of 200. You're obviously going to have things that come about. So you're just basically banking that $200 in anticipation that something's going to break.
I mean, you're never going to get rich off the cash flow unless you have a ton of them. But what you are going to get rich off of is that appreciation. So
Mhm.
Exactly.
if you're in at 147,000, but you're at 196, it's a pretty fair trade off to get 40,000-50,000 bucks in equity for no money into it.
Exactly.
And then you still have that buffer. For me, back if I look at the mortgages I had when I had 3%, 3.5%, I love it because I'm making $500-600. That's a difference maker. In today's market right now, it's really hard to get to that number unless you buy it so incredibly deep, and then people still want most of the max out leverage when they refinance it.
Well,
So if
plus
you're at 200 bucks,
your appreciation happens a lot faster too because the money's going towards the principal, not the interest.
yeah, exactly. On these ones, it's paying down. It's still kind of janky the way that they kind of amortize that loan where they front load some of that interest.
Yep.
But still, your appreciation is going up, right? So
Mhm.
I've seen it in a lot of these areas. That's why I like this price point. I like that sub 200 because I feel that affordable housing, kind of that under 250, is disappearing.
Mhm.
Some of the houses I bought in Texas City for 150, 160,000 now they're worth like 230, 240. You would never imagine that a house in Texas City would now sell for nearly $250,000.
Yeah.
You know, so even
I
these little areas outlining, especially all that like 288 and 45, that you're still within 30, 45 minutes of Houston. Eventually, these are the ones that are going to be, 250, 275 houses. But right now they're at, 200K house.
Okay. And then
I think Jesse.
what was that?
I think we lost Jesse. He
Oh,
disappeared.
okay, I'll watch for him. Maybe he'll pop back on. Let me see here. Okay, stop sharing your screen real quick.
All right.
So, right for that deal right now, obviously I'd want to go look at it.
Yep.
and then from there, it's about
Well, what I'll
17.
do is I'll get a term sheet for the just of what the out of pocket is, and then I'll get a term sheet for the cash back on the refinance.
Yeah,
Right. The only thing that could kind of throw a spank is having to eat the debt if you don't get it rented quickly. So if it takes you 2 months to rent it
you got to
and
pay those.
you're paying the debt on there, and you do a little bit of rehab, that's kind of gobbled up in there.
Yep. So no rehab budget, but if you find out it needs 8 or 10 grand, could you put that in that hard money? It just eats up some of the equity later, or what?
And you can put it in the hard money. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's
Because
say we okay.
the
Oh, go
the
ahead.
rehab's covered. The rehab's covered in that, right? So it's 100% coverage on the rehab. So if you feel that it needs 5 or 10K, then you might as well go ahead and put it in there. I'm always a proponent of escrowing the rehab. Um, if you think you're going to need it, really you want to wrap it into the loan as possible. Like I'll see
Right.
some guys go in there and be like, "Hey, I think this roof has some life left in it, or I think this AC has some life left in it." Well, then they do the whole rehab and then they refinance it, and they're sitting on their debt, and then all of a sudden the AC goes. Well, you can't rewrap that AC into the loan, so it's out of pocket. So that just kills your profit for the next few years, right? You have to spend 8 grand on a 7 grand on an AC, $100
Yep.
a month. That just
Yep.
crushes your bottom line. So wrap it in if you can.
And okay. And then when you cash out refi, you're talking about keeping that escrowed, that money in there?
When you refinance out that escrowed money goes as part of the hard money. So if you didn't use that 5,000, what's going to happen is they're just going to deduct that from the payoff on the refinance.
Okay.
So let's say your hard money loan was 140,000, but you have 5K in escrow, then they're just going to make that payoff 135,000.
Okay.
Or what you can do is just before closing, just draw it out. Then you have the money there. And
Yeah.
then you're still at 140,000. If the work has been done, you can just draw it out, and
Okay.
there's no point of letting it sit there.
Yep.
You know. So
So
so either way,
is this one, I mean, is that one you would jump on?
so yeah, I'll put the numbers together on it. Anytime if I can leave 5, 6, 7K into a house and get 35, 40K of equity, and it's going to cash flow for me, then I just give it to a property manager and don't have to worry about it. It's a home run of a deal because I know in 4 or 5 years or 10 years, that thing's going to have an extra 60, 70, 80,000 bucks plugged into it. And I'm only into it for 5 to 7K,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's been making
and
you,
the fact that I didn't have to go in there. Actually I did this. I'll have to give you this example of what I did. Right now it's in Texas City. It's 1217 Natchez. It was the same situation. It was sitting there on the MLS, and I bought it for 120K, and it needed no work. I got a tenant in there within 2 weeks of closing it. I cleaned it out really well. I think I changed the carpets. Bought it, and then it appraised at 190. So the way that I got my hard money loan, I had to bring, I think it was like 5K to the table, and then I got 27 back at the refinance.
damn.
She made 20,000 bucks just to own the house, and now it's making me 200 or 300 bucks a month.
Yeah, definitely like one of those as I'm like like right now, I would have to go out and find the cash to do this deal. So it would be cool
Yeah.
to find one of those to where like, okay, I'll find the cash, but when I do, I'm actually going to make some money to go out and, find another one or two of these. And
Yeah, it all
yeah,
it all just depends on the deal. If you can get that deal and nobody else is seeing it, but you can. Another reason I like these is because it's not, the flip is great. If you're flipping a
yeah.
house and it takes you 5, 6 months, it's good to see the progress. But on these ones, it's not as much headache. I don't have to go down there 70 times, do all the work.
And you mentioned no, and I'm big. So if I'm going to do flips, then I need to counterbalance my taxes with buy and holds. Like then I can keep those profits, instead of paying 40% on those things, having the buy and hold, the long term is what's going to negate those taxes.
Exactly. And you can do things. Let's say you have a home run on a flip too.
And then you said property management. So what do your property managers down there charge?
So I have two property managers. I have one who does my, I don't want to say ghetto houses, but some of them are Section 8. A lot of them are within like Lamarck areas. They're worth 140, 150K, but I don't want to, it's a different level of management.
Yep.
Someone who
And
does
then like
that.
down
And
there, you have another one. How much do they charge?
so for those guys, the ones who manage down there, I pay them. And then the ones who
Wait,
I
sorry,
have,
you
which
cut out.
are,
How much?
I pay them 10%.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit hefty on those guys, but those and my other property manager doesn't want to manage those, but they do a great job. I never hear anything from them. They make inspections on the property.
Yep.
They're great, and I can
Yeah, and
refer them
again,
to.
I'm thinking about this long term of like, okay, I cash flow 250. It's going to cost me $1,600 a month
Yep.
or $160 a month to manage it. So I don't cash flow as much, but when I do a cost segregation study or whatever on this, I can take that accelerated depreciation. And this year I can save a ton of money on taxes. Plus, yes, over time that thing has the equity, interest.
Yep.
And that's the thing too, is you can raise rents on those every year or two as well, and that cash flow will build too, right?
Yeah, to an extent, as long as your taxes doesn't go too far up.
Yep.
That
Yep.
can get tax and insurance, and we've been hit both recently on both. Yeah, essentially you can is if your taxes insurance is reasonable. But again, the beauty of them too is they're easy to, especially when the market is a bit more buoyant. They're easy to liquidate
Yep.
when you need the cash. So if you
Well,
have 50, 60,000 bucks in one property and you need the capital for whatever other reason, they're pretty easy to liquidate.
gotcha. Well, I got to run. Why don't you send me over all that
Yeah, sure.
information, and then yeah, let's keep in touch with this one, and then let's look at a few more together too, and even some flips that are around Houston that you think are home runs. Like, I'm ready. I know.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll
Okay.
keep sending what I got.
See you, man. Thank you.
All right, man.
Bye.
See ya.
So now that this deal has been presented to me from Joe, and the person that you saw on there was Jesse. He's my business partner. If you've got somebody in your life like a Jesse, it's good to surround yourself with somebody like him. He's a realist, so he's not persuaded by emotions. I'll tell you exactly what happened. This deal came to me, and I was like, I just want to go through with it. That's why I got Joe on that Zoom call immediately. We went through the numbers. It's really not like if everything worked out, it wouldn't be a bad deal. Basically, you're looking at like, putting $17,000 down to get the property, wait 90 days, refi it. You're going to take about $11,000 back out, 11 or 12, he said. So you're really looking at spending about $5,000 to $6,000 to get a cash flowing property that has $30,000 to $40,000 of equity built into it. So long play, amazing, right? Tax benefits, yes, but I really thought about this one for a while. In fact, I had to run from that Zoom and go with my wife. We were running, and she goes, "What was that call about?" So I told her, and inside of me, I'm like, you know what? For you guys, for you YouTube viewers out there, I was like, I got to do it for them. Like, I got to get another deal going ASAP so that I have content for these guys. And that's where my mind was. But when I really peeled back the layers and I talked to my wife, who she's just like, you know what? If you feel good about it, if it's something we can do, she's got, she always supports me. But I'm going to show you. In fact, here, I really started looking at the pictures, and I talked to my business partner after this. He's starting a real estate investment business himself. He's actually living in Idaho right now, but you look at this trim, it's just kind of jacked up. It's very much like an IKEA flip. The glass looks off. It's just not very well done. A lot of the trim is just very awkward. It looks like you're going to have to kind of probably go back in there. It's like two different pieces of trim here. That one doesn't hit the floor. It just IKEA flip, right? It's not looking like it's the best. Now for a rental, probably not the worst, but when we asked Joe, why do you think, this investor's selling this? And he says, 90% of the time when I see something like this, basically the contractors screwed him or taken off, and they can't get the project done. So that kind of tells me, all right, I think this wasn't done correctly. And then, we haven't even, it says the roof looks decent, but you'd have to get up in the crawl space. You'd have to look at all the major appliances and if there's AC, if it's good, the roof, you might, and if those things were done by that contractor, maybe they're just super janky. There's a brand new deck off the back. Anyways, I know that's a lot of negative thought and you should be moving forward. And here is my exact thought process. You know what? This thing is like 2.5 hours away from me. So it's not like something I can just buzz down the street and go look at. It's going to be an entire day event. my personal contractors that I use right now, I don't know if I want to take any of them down there, you know, to go look at this right now. So then I got to rely on people down there that I don't know. I don't have connections. And third is like right now with this flip going, our remodel, pumping a lot of money into my 401ks and stuff end of the year, I don't have as much cash. So what I'm looking to do is find a good, you know, flip, or if it's a perfect buy and hold, you know, reach out to, you know, a buddy of mine or some friends or some other people to maybe acquire 20, 30, 40K in cash and almost lend from them and pay them back to do a deal to keep this thing going. So that's personally where my mind is right now. It's just like, I will figure out a way to borrow money from somebody. And as these flips keep closing, you know, that pile of cash is going to build where I'm going to be able to do 1, 2, 3 of these. So I was like, you know what, this would actually be a deal that maybe here in a year when I've got more flips going, or a couple years when I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars, or hey, I'll throw it out there, maybe I've got a couple $1 million I can sit there and I need to buy these properties. This would be one that maybe I would just go, yeah, let's scoop it up, let's do it. But I think starting out, there's just way too many factors involved to find a property that's 2.5 hours away, 3 hours away from me, and really having no resources down there. So I decided to pass on this one for now. But you know, that's not stopping me from prospecting. So what I've been doing again is I've been getting on Facebook just almost every day and getting into more and more of those investment groups, and I've got relationships with about 2 or 3 more wholesalers. So no shortage of deals coming in. But the best lesson learned from that was that this new way of, okay, hard money lending on these properties, let them soak for 60, 90 days. You know, if this is a property that's in good shape, and you can even, and what he says, you can escrow some money in there for a budget of, you know, anything that goes bad. If a water heater goes bad, if AC goes bad, if roof, for renovations in there, and not use your own cash. You know, and then do a 90, you know, after 90 days, do a DSCR loan to get that 30-year loan on it for rentals. So that's why, you know, I started sending him properties just so he'll start sending me more best case scenarios. So I hope you guys are enjoying following along and learning with me. A lot of this stuff is foreign language, but, you know, I've just never been so excited to learn these things. And I've got other jobs and other things going on, but my focus seems to be narrowing in on this investment stuff and doing it more and more and more daily to continue and find these properties. So I'm actually, you know, going to go ahead to the flip here soon. We're getting really close to listing this thing. I can't believe how fast it's been going. I can't wait to get that thing listed, get a little bit more cash going, and then, you know, obviously I can look at some more flips and really crunch the numbers. I'll have some more of my own personal money ready to go, and some more of these buy and holds. So that's why currently right now I'm not going to go in on that deal, but I am looking every day at more of them. Comment down below. What are you guys liking? Are you loving this episodial style? I think that's a word, episodial style videos in order. I'm going to start branching out, you know, and doing some different style videos, you know, buy and hold. I want to start interviewing investors who've done investing. And learn, how did you get your first deal? What was your first deal like? Mistakes you made, and soak up some of that knowledge. And then some of the programs they're doing now to find off-market properties, to borrow money from other people. So you're probably going to start seeing some interviews come soon to help you guys as well. So if you would, really the only thing that helps these videos is you hit that like button. I'd like to see some likes hit this, and then it branches out there to more and more people to help them. So if you would take a second, hit that like button, subscribe to follow these daily videos and vlog. And again, if you've missed any of the videos, start back at video number 1, episode 1. They're in this playlist right here, so you can watch all of them in order, and you'll see everything from how we got the loans, all the mistakes we made, trying to get an LLC, bank accounts, everything, and fix and flips budgets. So check it out right there.